back to Willard and Dibs on 95.7 The Game.
Get your butt over to 957thegame.shop.com. Relevant T-shirts, DPOY T-shirts. They're selling like crazy. New items. Get on over there and get yourself I don't think you're going to get it by Christmas, but get yourself a New Year's gift.
By the playoffs.
Yeah, by the playoffs. Exactly right. And speaking of football playoffs, here's a guy who knows a thing or two about them as we get ready for 49ers Commanders on Christmas Eve, and then we'll get back to your phone calls on the Giants situation and more. But it is none other than the great Joe Theismann joining us here on Willard and Dibs. Kyle in for Dibs on 95.7 The Game. Hey, Joe, what's going on? Happy holidays.
Good morning. Good morning, guys. Happy holidays to you. I hope you're all staying safe. And, of course, being out there in San Francisco, you're not dealing with the stuff we are back east.
No joke.
Single-digit numbers are crazy.
No joke. Actually, my guy Kyle here texted me this morning, goes, we should bet the under on every game east of Denver tomorrow. I mean, the whole eastern half of the United States, this is going to be, this will be some crazy stuff.
Do you know every game except the Minnesota Viking game tomorrow is outside?
Oh, no.
Holy smokes. We did not know that.
I looked at it this morning. I was looking at because I was thinking the same thing. If there ever was an under weekend, well, last night's game.
Right.
That's an example.
Right.
Yep.
I mean,
that wasn't because of weather, but anyway. Yes. Yeah, you're absolutely right. But to let you know, Joe, coming up tomorrow in Santa Clara for the Commanders game, 64 degrees and mostly sunny.
Yeah, well, like I said, enjoy it because all of us here are going to be very, very envious back east. I can tell you that.
Joe, we want to get into this game and these teams and all this stuff, but can I ask you a weird question right off the top? Because this city is going through this Carlos Correa free agent signing that wasn't, and a big part of it apparently is because the Giants got freaked out because of an ankle injury from 8 years ago, and there's a plate in Carlos's ankle, and it seems on some level to worry about them and him long term. So we suddenly thought of you. Like what that injury that you had, what is in your leg? Is it a rod? Is it a plate? What how did they do it?
I have nothing in my leg. When I broke my leg in '85, they had just started to put rods in legs. So I have nothing. My leg healed with which was called an 11-degree varus. It's just I walk on the outside of my right foot. It healed now it's about a half inch shorter. But how old's Correa?
Correa's 28.
I had a chance to see him at a signing. Great kid. But these numbers are outrageous. Trey Turner, $360 million. He'll be 40 when this contract expires. Who are the nuts that are signing these contracts?
Well,
what ownership is giving this kind of money to baseball players who won't see the last 4 or 5 years of a contract? And if they are, it's not going to be productive.
I mean, Joe, I don't think anyone disagrees with you. First of all, when you say who are these owners, his name is Steve Cohen. But I would also
that answers it. I mean, right. He's got the money. He's got the money to spend. But I look at you think Judge is going to hit? You think he's going to hit 62 home runs again next year?
No, I guess my answer would be, isn't this on the owners, though? Because they've got this ridiculous arbitration system in baseball that disallows these guys from making what they're worth when they're in their 20s. So when they do get to this point, they have to kind of hold the owners to it and make them pay them till they're 40.
And it's exactly like the NFL because we don't have enough quarterbacks in the game today where you see guys signing these $250, $230 million contracts. And, you're just not getting the value, but you have to sign them because there isn't anybody else out there. I mean, look at where you are in San Francisco. Look at where we are in Washington. Taylor's a competitive son of a gun, just like Brock. I mean, these two quarterbacks are very similar. They don't have strong arms. They have familiarities with the offense. They're smart guys. They're great gamers. They play within the system very well. But, I mean, if you're going to put it on their shoulders to go out and win the game, I don't necessarily think that that's the case for either one of them.
The Niners have another quarterback out here while we're on that topic, Trey Lance, who got 2 starts his first year, got 2 starts this year, but got hurt early in that second start. You didn't start at all your first 2 years and then had 5 starts year 3, 6 starts year 4. How are you able to develop as an NFL quarterback on the bench?
Well, Trey can always try and do what I did, and that's return punts. See, I started my career returning punts with Washington, 74 and 75. I was a punt returner. I also started the first 7 games my sophomore year in college. I was the punt returner. So, I just wanted to get on the football field. But you sit, you learn, and Trey. Unfortunately for Trey, excuse me, when you get hurt, it sets you back more than you can possibly imagine because you're not on the field, you're not seeing things. The most valuable thing that could have happened to Trey Lance this particular year, and oh, by the way, San Francisco only gave up 9 draft choices for Christian McCaffrey and Trey Lance. Keep that in mind.
Yep.
I mean, everybody talks about the Rams and what they do, but San Francisco, John's done pretty much the same kind of dealing to get where they need to be in a very short period of time. But Trey's lost tremendous value in time. I mean, he's 2 years away from being, a solid starter. And I still wonder how good a thrower of the football he's going to be. The thing, let's move to Chicago where Trey Lance and Justin Fields have sort of been compared. Justin's at least playing football. He can look at himself on film. The coaches can sit with him and say, this is what you need to do better. This is a decision you need to do better. With Trey, you're starting over from square one.
Yeah.
Joe Theismann. Yeah.
Unfortunately for him.
Joe Theismann with us here, 95.7 The Game. Joe, I want to go back to your Brock Purdy and Taylor Heineke comparison to a degree and just sort of spotlight Brock. It's been almost 3 games that we've watched him, and I gather you imagine how excited the 49er fan base is to see what they see. But I want to know what you see. Do you think this is sustainable, and where does this go next?
I think it is sustainable. I think you have to prepare for a mistake down the road, though. I mean, everybody's just, going euphoric. Well, Brock, look at what he's doing. Look what he's doing. Kyle Shanahan, to me, if he isn't the best play caller in football, he's in the top 2 or 3. I've always appreciated Kyle's approach to the game. The San Francisco 49ers are a unique football team. They're 48% run, 52% pass. That is a 50-50 ratio almost in football today is not something you see. But that's the way this team is built. They rely on their defense. Like I say, the way Kyle calls games, I love to watch, and I guess being, who I did and what I did for a living, I love to watch Kyle call a game. I love to sit there and say, okay, what's he going to do next? To me, it's my own little game in my head that I watch. But I think, the fans have to be prepared for Brock to hit a speed bump. Maybe, maybe not. Yeah, but I'm saying if something happens, if he throws an interception, if he makes a bad decision, you just don't want to throw your hands up and go, oh, my goodness, look at this. It's all part of the growing process. Is he going to be the guy next year? Who knows? Who knows who the guy is going to be in San Francisco next year? You're counting on it to be Trey, but like I said, he's got a long road to go to be able to start and be successful in this league. But I really like what these 2 kids are doing. I like what Taylor's done here in Washington, and I really like what Brock. Like I said, I think he is in the ideal situation with Kyle as a play caller. It's exactly the same thing I see with Doug Peterson down in Jacksonville with Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence's first year was an absolute waste under Urban Meyer, a wasted year. All he did was play football and get a chance to look at some stuff on film, which was the positive aspect of it. Now he's got a coach. You watch that game last night as an example. The Jets kept trying to throw the ball down the field. The Jacksonville Jaguars, because of the conditions, they were running 7-yard drags, little plays out of the backfield. Play callers can help a quarterback tremendously. The plays that are called give a guy to survive. Real quick story. When Peyton Manning came into the league, Tom Moore was his offensive coordinator. I remember sitting with Tom. We've been friends for 50 years. I said, what do you do with Peyton? He said, I want to make sure 2 things. I don't want to get him beat up physically or mentally because he's going to be our guy for the next 10, 15 years. And so if you have to sort of put the future on hold a little bit, and I know maybe in this game today nobody wants to look at it that way, but if you want to build a foundation for a young guy, just don't put him in situations where they get beat up mentally and physically.
Yeah, and that's the situation Brock Purdy's kind of in, and I think part of the reason that people are so optimistic about Brock Purdy and the 49ers is because of how good their defense is. Washington's got a pretty good defense itself. Is that unit good enough to get them maybe a win in the postseason, even with Taylor Heineke at quarterback?
Well, first they have to get into the postseason because they finished with Dallas. Who knows what who knows going to play in the next couple of games after this, depending upon what the positions are of certain football teams. Who do you want to look at? What's your position? Do you want to rest people? Do you not want to rest people? Are you getting ready? All those questions come up. I just think that our defense is playing the way it did 2 years ago. It's just like San Francisco. These are two very mirrored teams. We want to run the football. With Brian Robinson's just been absolutely an unbelievable comeback. What a story that is. Yeah. Kid getting shot. Antonio Gibson is a great story too. He was going to lose his job. He basically lost his job. Then all of a sudden Brian gets shot and he's not available for a month or a month and a half. And then Antonio just steps up and says, okay, I know what I can do and I know what I can't do. And he did a terrific job. But I think our defense, just like San Francisco, is really going to be where it's going to be made. The question is, who blinks first? Who makes the mistake that gives the other team the opportunity to put points on the board? You can't, neither one of these quarterbacks are going to play cautious, but you need to play smart.
Joe, I know you like Taylor Heineke, but that wasn't the plan this year. And let me ask you this. Should Jimmy Garoppolo be the quarterback of the Commanders?
I don't see where it makes sense because I said this in the beginning of the year. You're bringing Jimmy in. You basically have to a degree Jimmy in Taylor, who's more familiar with the offense. Carson had to learn a new offense, and all of a sudden he got hurt, and then they started winning. Hey, if anybody knows what it's like when a quarterback gets hurt and the other guy comes in and starts winning, it's San Francisco. Okay, yeah. When Colin took over there, like I said, similar situations. I just don't see Jimmy in Washington. I think Washington has to make a commitment. They went out and got Sam Howell out of North Carolina. He's not a tall guy. I think that at some point, as a football team, you have to make the commitment to a young guy. We're seeing it down in Atlanta. We're seeing it in different places where, in Pittsburgh. Okay, we're going to make the commitment to the kid that we drafted. We understand there's going to be growing pains. Maybe we're not going to be what we were, but this is going to give us a foundation to work from to go forward. I think thank goodness Jimmy did what he did out in San Francisco. I don't think he'd be in the situation you're in now.
Huh. Yeah. Oh, no doubt. There's absolutely no doubt with what he did in the middle of the year.
Yep. Just saying, hey, I'm staying. I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Nobody seemed to want him, and I said this in that Super Bowl. Now you guys see if you agree with me. If Jimmy Garoppolo, I believe it was Emmanuel Sanders. I don't need to bring this up, and I'm sorry to all the San Francisco fans out there, but I just want to make a point. If he hits Emmanuel down the middle of the football field against Kansas City in that Super Bowl, Trey Lance doesn't get drafted.
Agreed.
Jimmy Garoppolo is the quarterback of the San Francisco 49ers going forward in life.
Agreed. Yep. 100% agreed.
So
and actually, I can think of a few other passes thrown in that fourth quarter that if he had completed, they probably would have won, and he would still be the quarterback. Yeah, I absolutely agree with that.
Barring injury and everything, yeah. So, it's funny how people say, one play doesn't make a difference in a game. It may not make a difference in a game, but it sure can make a difference in a career.
Absolutely.
Amen to that. Really Joe, thank you so much for doing it. And again, happy holidays, happy New Year.
Same to you guys. Everybody, please stay safe. Take care. Bye.
There it is. All right.